twitch.tv/vote.
Yeah, I would definitely appreciate that, guys. Now we're going to be getting into this game. We're going to be spawning directly on top of Root Gaming Slush, who will be the orange Zerg in the top right. His opponent is going to be Boyo from IVN, which I actually didn't even know that he was on IVN. I don't know what IVN is, but that's apparently Boyo's team. He's the 16-year-old Protoss in the bottom left as the red color.
Indeed, and his opponent spawning up in the top right-hand corner is going to be representing Team Root is going to be ROOT.Slush and Protoss versus Zerg on Daybreak. What are your thoughts?
I hate the third base.
Why is that?
Because it's so bad for Protoss.
Oh my god, that third base is so far away for a Protoss player.
It really is. I mean, you've got this natural expansion that's already open. It makes walling off on this map the most annoying thing ever, because you literally are either going to be having a 2 zealot wide choke, or you have to incorporate a pylon into it, and then you've got this third base that has got such a wide open area to attack. You have to deal with the multi-pronged attacks of going from here, then down here to the natural, and then when attacking the natural, you can either hit the natural or go to the third. You've got a lot of good angles of attack that Protoss has to deal with, and we're going to see how Slush is going to go ahead and try and exploit that for his own gains, because Zerg can get the third base quite easily, and usually what that means is we'll have a Protoss who's going to try and be aggressive with some kind of 4 warp gate +1 zealot type of attack.
Yeah, I mean the +1 zealot types of attacks are really popular for pressuring those Zerg players, as I feel like generally you tend to see Protoss players either go for some kind of really big 2-base pressure play, or they go for a very fast third expansion. And I have seen a third expansion very quickly pulled off on this map, but again, it's so difficult just because of how far away and just because of the general terrain around that third expansion.
Yep, and the way to defend it is to be aggressive. It's a little bit harder to really defend in terms of position. You have to do weird kind of pseudo-wall-ins with gateways sort of partially walling off that area, doing things like that to make sure that you can have areas to force field in and make sure you have the energy with the sentries themselves so that you can be in a good spot there. So it can be done. I've seen players get away with third Nexus as early as 6 minutes before, but it is risky, and sometimes just a big Ling Roach attack can just kill you.
Yeah, and I feel like Slush is definitely not one of the kind of players that would shy away from just saying, oh, you're trying to take too fast of a third, where I'm just going to go on 2 bases, pump a ton of Zerglings, or even 3 bases, pump a ton of Zerglings and Roaches, and just kill you right now. I mean, he's definitely not one of those players that's shy to do that.
Oh, apparently it's 4 Nod is what Boyo is on. Oh, that's what it is. It's Roman numeral 4. Oh, okay. Thank you, Valkyrie. Okay. So it's Team 4 not Boyo. There we go. That makes... Oh, God. I've been... thank you.
But, yeah, at this point, we do end up seeing that Boyo has that expansion up and is finished. He's going to start transferring a couple of his workers over there and in the meanwhile, getting up that Cybernetics core. And, a couple of those Zerglings did try and poke their way in, but Boyo definitely on top of his game, making sure that he got that wall off completed. And in the meanwhile, scouting around for that third, sees the third hatchery, and at this point, he's going to feel pretty comfortable saying this is a standard-looking Zerg.
Yep, and nice little movement by Slush to make sure that he can actually kill off that probe without any difficulty, and he does so. Well done there, and now we're going to see him just drone up a ton. We're kind of waiting to see when he gets to the gas. It'll probably somewhere between now and 40 supply will be when he'll go for a double gas.
Yeah, and why exactly do Zerg players need that gas from those 2 gas guys? I mean, does that generally indicate that, oh, I'm going to make a ton of Roaches, or is it something more like I'm going to go for a really quick layer into Mutalisk? I mean, what does that mean?
It's actually kind of a weird thing to read, because it's basically saying I want to have as many minerals as possible early on, but still not be too delayed in tech by just getting a single gas. So as I'm using all these drones here from, at this point, around the 40 supply mark was when he threw that down, it's saying I have 40 drones mining minerals for the first 6.5 minutes of the game, and then I'll start working on getting out my tech. But because I'm getting more than 1 or 2 gas geysers, my layer timing is still at a solid, not too late point.
Makes a lot of sense. We actually see 3 gas geysers going up for Slush. So I'm really curious to see what he's going to end up doing with that extra gas geyser. Is not quite mining out of it just yet, but maybe you could go for slightly faster upgrades or something of the sort.
Yeah, alright, and now looking around here from Slush, he's actually not gotten any Evo chambers down. His no Roach Warren either. Now we're starting to see the timing where Roach Warren is kind of almost necessary, at the very least, as a precaution for Zerg in the case of heavy aggression in the form of zealots, because we do have Warp Gate almost completed, 4 gateways about to be done, and the +1 research approaching completion as well. But without the proxy pylon threat, apparently Slush feels comfortable enough to just macro away and get out his lair.
Yeah, and I have to note that part of the reason why he's able to, say that there's probably no proxy pylons is just because he's been so active with these 4 Zerglings over at the front, as he's just been keeping an eye out, seeing if there are any Zerg or probes leaving, and he also was able to pick off that probe that was trying to block the hatchery earlier on. You have to remember that the probe that scouted that third out from Slush, it died, so that means that Slush feels pretty comfortable knowing there's probably not any proxy pylons on the map.
Yep, and they have a nice little micro from Boyo to just make sure that his sentry does not get killed or really damaged at all. But here we have Slush's Overlord coming in and seeing this heavy Warp Gate play coming in, but he's got to see the other ones, because this is a very big 8-gate attack, very sentry heavy. There's no robo or anything involved as well, and Slush is going to get hit by 1-1 8-gate big sentries for us, and oh, Slush sees it. Slush sees all those sentries from this Overlord. Oh, that's so key. And he's getting the other sentries too. He just saw 12 sentries. He's pushing down here with roaches, and he's got his creep spread out too.
Oh my god, if he can actually force a couple of, force fields to be utilized early on, that could help out a lot, but just with this many sentries, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to waste all of them, and he has to still be careful with these roaches, but I think the main thing is going to be buying time for Slush, and he's doing a good job of that, canceling that one proxy pylon, but one of the proxy pylons does manage to get up, and a warping goes through with stalkers, and I think Boyo's going to feel comfortable trying to move over to that creep now.
This is a very strong attack. 10 minutes in, he's hitting at a very vulnerable timing, both for him and Boyo. It's going to come down to force fields. That's going to be the main thing. He's got a lot of energy, but the production capacity for Slush is so much higher than Boyo. Boyo must make these units count.
Yeah, and it looks like he might be able to go for some kind of sandwiching move if, in fact, Slush does decide to, if Boyo decides to move in too far on one side, and we actually see a ton of force fields going down, trapping quite a few of those roaches, and this is not working out too well. But Slush coming in does not actually get the Zerglings in quite fast enough, is able to pick off a couple of those sentries, but I feel like he's going to end up losing a ton of this army now.
Yeah, those forces did a great job of just sectioning off those roaches, and now we're starting to see Boyo's power really moving forward. He still has all of his sentries alive. None of them got picked off. He's even got more zealots now into the mix, so a Ling reinforcement is going to be less powerful from Slush. But look at the supplies. Boyo is still down about the same as he was before, but these forces are really starting to work in, but we're having spine crawlers now finished, and this is going to be a really big help to the strength, but they're getting picked off quite quickly, and Slush is starting to get hit a lot. Boyo's got so many stalkers now coming to play. This is really starting to look like it's going to be his push to win it.
Yeah, but you have to remember one thing that, it seems hard to believe, but the sentries are actually starting to run out of energy. I'm not sure if it's going to matter, though, as the drones just being picked off, and that's already going to hurt Slush and his chances in this game, even though he's still relatively well off in terms of economy. Losing this third is something he cannot afford to do right now.
He might be forced to do some kind of weird counterattack aggression. There's no third from Boyo. Boyo's just been aggressive for the last 3 minutes straight. We're seeing him pushing forward. That third is now gone, but we're starting to see these sentries getting picked off, and every sentry killed is going to be a massive boost to the capabilities of Slush to take this, or probability of Slush to take a key engagement, because Boyo is looking like he wants to just win with this. He's not producing any more probes or anything. He is just going to try and push forward. There he gets a nice set of 3 force fields.
Yeah, picking off a couple additional roaches, that's really going to help out. But I mean, at this point, I feel like maybe you could just back off and take a third. I mean, you've killed off your opponent's third. All you have to do is defend against the all-in, but now we actually end up seeing the roaches want to move in, but oh my god, I don't think there's any force fields left anymore.
There's a little bit of energy on these. Wow, there's literally not one force. There's one force field
One
left.
force field.
There's a single force field, but look at this. We have a robo done now, and we have an observer that just completed, and we're going to be able to see a third now being put down. Boyo doesn't want to overextend himself and then lose to the big roach link reinforcements coming out from Slush, but the thing is, the pylon presence from Boyo is great, and it is going to get scouted out, unfortunately, for him.
Yeah, I mean, even though he has such great pylon positioning, all of them do end up getting scattered out for the most part. Only two really remaining, and they're quite far away from Slush. So, what is Slush's plan at this point? I mean, obviously, I am expecting some kind of really, really big attack, but he's going ahead and grabbing his third. He has an infestation pit that's going to be finishing up in a little bit. Is he going to be waiting for infestors?
To be honest, one of his actually big possibilities coming back right now is going for Broodlords. And while Boyo is being passive, being like, alright, cool, I'm in a huge lead. Time to get my third base up. Let's get some Colossi. Let's do this cool stuff. Let's get some Immortals. And then Slush hits them with Broodlords and he dies.
Huh, that'll be really interesting, but we have to remember there is that observer out. Right now it's trailing the Roach army, so he actually knows that he has to reposition his army over to that third expansion. But, I mean, is he going to move that observer over to see exactly what Slush is up to? That, I think, is going to be really, really critical.
Yeah, nah, Slush has an Overseer just sitting here at his natural expansion, just not really doing anything with it. He hasn't really pushed into Scout. He knows the third base exists, he knows it's going up, and that may give him the clues that he needs to try and take up a little bit more. But right now, this lair is idle. It looks like Slush may just want to go on the back of Infestors for a small amount of time, just make sure he's good against DTs, apparently, as his Overseer is now just chilling at the natural.
Yeah, I think part of that is just because he didn't really know what the follow-up was going to be out of Boyo after all of that aggression. And, you know, even if you take a look at his vision, he didn't really even see the Roboxili. I'm actually not even sure if he saw the Immortal, so I think it's good to at least play it a little bit safe. I mean, the worst thing that you could do in a game where you're already a bit behind is lose to Dark Templar because you didn't get detection.
Alright, you want to hear something that's going to surprise you and make me seem like a weird person?
What's that?
Boyo's behind now.
That is... Wow, actually, yeah, you're right. We actually even have 73 drones to 57 probes, and I feel like that's really interesting. Do you think Boyo maybe should have expanded a little bit earlier to his third, or...?
He needed better force fields. He wasted I would say he had 10 worthless force fields in there, which were really hurting him when he got hit outside of where the fourth is now for Slush. He is now given Slush the time that he needs. We have a maxed Slush. We have Hive a quarter of the way done, actually more even like a third of the way done, as well as a Spire a third of the way done, and he's going for that Broodlord switch that Boyo will not be able to handle. But Slush is now going to lose that Overseer. He was trying to just trail that Observer, but now Slush has got his Investors out, and he's not going to attack until he gets Broodlords. He's throwing down a Spine Crawler wall, and Boyo now needs to go for some kind of anti-air, because he's right now pure Blink Stalkers, but that gets shut down by Broodlings as well as fungal growth.
But still, does he even know that this transition's coming up? I mean, so far he's basically just seen Zerglings. He might have actually caught a glimpse of the Infestors, I'm not entirely sure. But, I mean, he doesn't actually have any good way of telling, like, oh, well, Hive is about to be finishing up and the Spire is about to be finishing up, so therefore I need to start preparing for Broodlords. But I guess just general game sense telling him, get the Stargate right now, it's a good time to get it.
Yep, because you got to start realizing that it's a very common move from Zerg to do exactly what Slush is doing right now just because it's so powerful. And the thing is, even with that, Boyo is still not even maxed yet because he was so far behind economically. He only pushed out with, what, 45 probes, maybe 50 probes? And that allowed Slush to be like, alright, cool, time to build 20 drones at once and all of a sudden have a macro lead as I double expand and abuse the fact that I have this Zerg capability to produce, and while Protoss is reduced to producing probes individually and trying to get back into a game in a much different sense than Zerg can.
Yeah, and you know, a couple of Zerglings trying to be effective along the top side, and looks like they'll actually get 3 Stalkers, surprisingly. No, Blink actually being utilized pretty well. But, I mean, that kind of just goes to show ROOT.Slush able to just try and do continued aggression, and I feel like he's probably not going to find any holes, as Boyo is pretty well defended with this army as he tries to actually secure this 4th expansion, but again, that timer is going to be ticking. The corruptors are already being made, and the Greater Spire is about to finish up. So we're going to have to wait and see if he can defend against this incoming push from Slush.
Yeah, but let's take a look before the real engagement happens. What are the melee upgrades for the Zerg? We take a look at Evo chambers that we have down here. Melee attack level 1 is done, and that is it. But we have missiles and carapace being researched. Broodlords are now coming in. They're morphing their way, trying to get here. Overseer is now going to make sure that there's nothing watching this stuff happening. But there is an observer right there. That's now going to get hit by... Oh, it's going to escape, actually.
Well,
oh, nope, never mind.
Yeah, does get picked off, but there is still an observer right below the army, actually. So, nice positioning on Boyo. He definitely has a lot of intel from that, just knowing where that army is, knowing about that 4th expansion. Actually, now he should know about the Broodlord. So, even though the observer does end up getting picked off by that queen, knowing about the Broodlords is going to be so, so critical. He knows that he needs to at least evade that engagement until he can get that mothership out.
Yeah, and the mothership's about a third of the way done, almost a halfway done. That's going to be a really important thing for him. But he's also going for DT tech. The Dark Shrine has now completed, and he's got a War Prism filled with Zealots moving down the map. And it looks like he's going to start working on harassing.
A Warp Prism along the top side as well, loaded up with 2 Zealots, so he can actually warp in 2 different locations. I absolutely love this play, as you know, he just wants to buy time for his mothership. He wants to buy time for the potential to get up Archons and also Psystorm, so this is just a great way to do that.
And now, looks like he's just right now sitting back. He's got vision of this expansion going down, so he knows what to hit, but looks like Slush is going to sacrifice a little bit of supply with these Lings. He may even try and surround it. Yeah, he's going to try and get surrounded with the Nexus, but this Nexus will not be falling down. It will take a little bit of damage, but it's all shields.
Oh no, Boyo actually doesn't realize that a bunch of those Zerglings actually burrowed, so he can actually come back in, maybe during the big engagement, pick off a ton of probes, and we're going to have to watch for that a little bit later on, but now we actually end up seeing... Yeah, Warp Prisms coming in both over at the 5th expansion and in the main. Now, it doesn't look like the tech is actually in the main for the Greater Spire, but I'm really curious to see if he can actually get over to the National Expansion. But I love this play from Slush. He actually has a ton of Spine Crawlers just surrounding his Greater Spire, his Roachborn, his Infestation Pit.
Yeah, now we have the big attack coming in from Boyo over here. He's actually hallucinated a bunch of Colossi just to fool Slush and just to misjudging this army, but there's just so many. Oh my god, the amount of units, Force Field, Infest Terran, Broodlords, Infestors, there's Fungals going down, there's Stalkers here blinking, there we've got Guardian Shield, nothing right now. All the energy was used for the Colossi hallucination, which is actually serving as a great tank, but Boyo's supply is just plummeting, and Slush is in an incredible spot now, just taking down so much of Boyo's beefy army. But the thing is, he's got Zealots that are just destroying his main base.
And not just the main base, Xander, but the 5th expansion just went down to a bunch of Zealots, and even though Spycrawler's trying to burrow, they just burrow a little bit too late. And, I mean, you have to actually look at this, and now they're only really... Oh my god, they're actually DTs over at the Natural Expansion, and they look like they're trying to snipe off a couple of those Infestors. Not going to actually be able to do a whole lot of damage, but still, he's been able to take out 2 of the really key hatcheries, and I mean, that's going to delay even mining gas in the main, and also mining that gas over at the 5th expansion. It's gonna hurt Slush a little bit.
Yeah, and those Lings just got killed in the top left. They did get the Nexus down to 573 health, though. But Slush is now forced to unburrow all those Spine Crawlers. Got Cells getting taken down. Wolfrism is still alive. Might get fungled and then hit by... Yep, there's the fungal. Now he'll probably get hit by those Corruptors. DT does get killed. And this is actually... We're doing a great job of delaying Slush, allowing the mining of Boyo to start giving him that lead that he just lost. And another mothership's out. Well, this is the same mothership. I thought the mothership had died, but there was so much going on. Maybe I just missed the retreating or something.
Mothership did manage to make itself, you know, out of that big engagement. But another really key thing, I think, is that, you know, surprisingly, Boyo, with all of that aggression, actually you can see the entire main is gone for Slush, which is a little bit weird to see. But, I mean, he also managed to pick off every single one of those evolution chambers, and I don't think that Slush actually remembers it, so we're not actually probably going to be seeing +3/+3 out of any of those units, and that can also play a big impact in that engagement, considering that Boyo's sitting on 3-1-3.
There's 2 Nidus networks that are built in. Oh, look at the attempted juke with the War Prism as it fails. But
What do
there
you
are
think
two
this is,
Nidus
Yoda?
networks down here. As a DT, 2 kills. So we get a
Oh,
third kill.
just killing off those transferring workers. I mean, hey, you can kill off a couple of them. Hey, it helps out a lot. And even though he does get fungal growth, we can actually see it. Slush is down to 49 workers. That's actually a bit of a problem for him.
Is it though? Because he's got so many Broodlords, and this frees up more supply for a further amount of Broodlords. He's even now going to be getting his Neural Parasite upgrade for his Infestors, and he's got a healthy Infestor count. But all to the Archon count from Boyo, the Archon Colossi Mothership. This is going to be a potentially disastrous battle for Slush though, because Boyo is now maxed, and if we see Archon Toilets land, ew.
Yeah, not only that, but we have enough energy for 2 vortexes from that mothership, and that's going to be super duper scary. Slush has to be so careful with this army.
Look at this, just a few paltry sacrifices of Infested Terran.
Oh my god. And, I mean, it's not going to be really doing a whole lot, but wow, actually, Boyo trying to expand to the top center side, and I don't know if that's a safe expansion, but I guess if he forces the engagement and kills off his opponent, it's going to be safe no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, the best defense is a great offense, and that's really true in StarCraft. Just think about all the multi-pronged attacks that happen. Plus, look at where he's forcing the Broodlords, which is essentially Slush's only army, and he's keeping them away from his expansion.
Yeah, and oh my god, there's a Dark Templar over by the main that with 9 kills, but hold up, though, we might actually be seeing a big engagement coming up right here, folks.
Oh, this looks like it's going to be a super important operation. Will we have the... We need the vortexes. He's trying to get close enough. He can get all the fungal goes down, blocking that mothership. There we have blinks going forward. They're going to force a lot of those infestors to die, as well as be pushed back. And that might be the opportunity for Boyo to throw down his vortex. Slush is trying to engage. There's a vortex, catching so many Broodlords. And the infested Terrans are now going straight in there as well. Oh my god, this is going to be great when that actually pops out. It looks so weird.
Yeah, and that's actually a really great tactic to actually separate out a couple of those units, especially the grindiest, but another vortex goes down. Oh, the Broodlords pop instantly, and there's the GG from ROOT.Slush.
Oh, gee. Indeed. That was a great game.